We're streaming in lobby.
No, I'm sorry. It was Evan next to you. Oh, no worries. You're good.
Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Durango City Council meeting. Could we have the roll call?
Councillor Bosmans,
Present.
Councillor Youssef,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Here.
Councillor Woodruff,
Here.
and Mayor Buell, absent.
And could we have the introduction of the translator?
We got the ILA first, and we'll be on that in just 1 second.
This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla, Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sinam, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step towards inclusion and reconciliation.
Item number 2, Mayor Pro Tem, is the introduction of the translator.
Mm-hmm.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Liz Torres y estoy aquí con mi colega Vi Torres. Y el día de hoy estamos con la Cooperativa Comunitaria del Lenguaje y hoy vamos a practicar justicia lingüística. Para poder tener acceso al canal de español o de inglés, puede tener acceso por el menú de More o Más. Allí puede seleccionar el idioma y es en inglés o en español. Hi, good evening. My name is Liz Torres, and I am here with my colleague, B. Torres from the CLC. And thank you so much for practicing language justice so that everyone can speak and be heard in the language of their heart. In order to access the menu, you should click the More menu on the top of your screen, and then access language and speech, and you can select English or Spanish from there. And we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Item 4 is presentations, or excuse me, item 3 is opening remarks by mayor and council.
Nope.
No remarks. Presentation. The next item is presentations and proclamations with a presentation by La Plata Economic Development Alliance and Early Childhood Council of La Plata County.
Council, thank you so much for having us tonight. I'm Sarah Tober, the Executive Director of La Plata Economic Development Alliance.
The Executive Director of the Early Childhood Council of La Plata County.
And we want to start out by saying, first and foremost, thank you so much for the conveyance of the READY grant to make this work possible that we're going to talk about tonight. This early child care strategic investment plan wouldn't be possible without the city of Durango as a partner. And so thank you very much. And thank you for the staff's time on this. Okay, so you know about the Alliance, so I'm not going to spend too much time on our mission and who we are, but the 3 cornerstones of who we are is the workforce housing that you all are familiar with, workforce development, and in business capacity. And so that's how a lot of this child care came up, is through our employers and through industry letting us know that they were having trouble with building business capacity, recruitment, and retainment of employees because of workforce housing and childcare.
The Early Childhood Council is the system leader here in La Plata County for all things birth to 6 years of age. We're a quasi-government nonprofit that oversees workforce development, mental health consultation, and quality improvement for all licensed care in La Plata County.
Okay, so again, this strategic investment plan was made in partnership with the City of Durango and the Regional Housing Alliance, as well as the Alliance and the ECC. And we spent a lot of time with the community. We interviewed over 300 residents, business owners, childcare providers. We had focus groups, we had surveys, we had one-on-one interviews. And so the data here gathered has been very comprehensive. We tied in with the housing needs assessment that is being published currently through the RHA, that's La Plata County wide. It has a lot of really great data there too. But ultimately, we also looked at some case studies from, best practices around the state and around the nation. The Early Childhood Council is really well positioned in understanding this space and helping to provide guidance. The numbers speak for themselves, as I'm sure you've seen in this plan, and that is that this is a $34 million impact to our entire county in lost wages. We had 60% of employers telling us that they had lost employees due to childcare issues, to access to quality childcare. We had 26% employers have lost 5 or more employees, and 54% of employers have reported ongoing hiring challenges because of this. So we've all known and felt this issue, but this helps to quantify it and helps us to understand exactly the root and the systemic issues here. So in the market analysis and the economic impact of it, 34 million is a huge number. It's part of a larger, broader problem in the state of Colorado. It's a 2.2 billion problem. It's an issue across the nation as well. But as you know, here in our southwest corner, we always have to have unique solutions to our issues given where we are in proximity to other areas. So there's a lot of good data here around the issue in the state of Colorado and how it impacts business and the economy. But the one I wanted to point out is on the bottom of this slide that has been an 11% decrease in licensed childcare slots. That's losing 147 slots over 5 years since 2019. And if this trend continues, the county's licensed childcare capacity will decline by approximately 23%. So that will mean that we would fall below 1,000 slots by 2030 if we do not do anything about this issue and it continues to build. That to me is the most concerning part. And I think if you look at that data in tandem with the housing needs assessment, where you see where the population shifts are happening, if we lose our workforce here, you understand the broader implications, I'm sure. And to really understand what this issue looks like for your constituents and for our fellow residents and businesses and employers, you should look at the needs and gaps right here in this market status. And that is especially with infants 0 to 18, we have a current license capacity of 80 and we have a need of 656. So we have a gap of 576. In La Plata County, we have a birth rate of 5%, which is about average. It's a little above average actually for the state of Colorado, and that comes out to about 425 births in the county. So we're still having babies here. And if you look at the total license capacity, that does not account for the fact that none of our child care centers are operating at full capacity right now. And when we look at the systemic issue there, we see that that has to do with the fact that they're not making a living wage. If you've been following Region 9 and their living wage study, which has Durango at about $24 an hour, you can see these are substantially below that wage range. So we have a completely destabilized industry with 41% turnover rate. And that is because a lot of childcare providers will go work at a fast food restaurant and make $20 an hour versus $16 an hour to do the hard work of childcare educators. We have 260 childcare educators here in La Plata County, and their median annual income is $40,560. So 15% of them are living below the poverty line. And if you followed anything with Alice and what the United Way has been talking about in terms of poverty levels, we measure those by federal standards that have been around since the 60s, 70s. So yeah, those are probably a little outdated. So this number could be more like 30% even. So this systemic issue is deep, but it's not all bleak. We do have a bright future, the solution that we have crafted through this plan. I'll let Heather present.
Need some heels. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, really short. So what is the solution? Well, we're going bold. It is $20 million investment over the next 5 years. This investment is divided into two primary investment accounts. The first is a child care investment fund of $10 million. This is a $2 million a year investment in the early childhood workforce. This fund will bring the living wage of child care workers up to a competitive rate of a minimum of $20 an hour, with a goal of reaching the living wage of $24 by the end of the first 3 years. The fund would be investments from our employers regionally. They're already paying for the cost of this lack of childcare in the inability to retain and recruit high quality workers, and the cost of replacing a high skilled laborer in our area can be twice their annual income. The second area of investment is the infrastructure. We do not have enough physical space for children to be educated and thrive across this county. And so we do need to invest in those facilities. We also have a number of aging facilities that will not be eligible for continued licensing over the next 5 to 10 years. Many of them are located in historic buildings. And as you know, being an owner of historic buildings, they're expensive to renovate and are difficult to bring up to code. So what would the breakdown of this investment look like? In the Child Care Investment Fund, we would be working towards stabilizing our child care workforce through wage increases and accessibility to benefits with immediate impacts on retention and recruitment. This would require a $1.2 million a year investment in wages for our early